Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Tyranny, blind. Now, I've been sealed here in this valley by the magic of Kyros, and apparently there's blood flowing from the eyes of this strange statue. This ancient weeping mother statue pays homage to the Queen Lyserius, first of her name. Fresh water once flowed from the statue, but when Kyros' forces attacked Vendrien's well in 429, the statue began weeping blood, and has done so ever since. This is actually very interesting, cause like, is it a reaction to our invasion? Like, are the gods of this place or whatever real, or is there some, like, what caused it in reality? It's definitely written in a way that would suggest it's weeping blood, because it's weeping at the sight of our invasion of the Tears, but I think that's an interesting detail that I should probably keep in mind. Now, there's a lot of people, a lot of corpses put on display, but I can't, like, search them or look at them in detail. Now, before, because the Disfavored soldier went this way, before I go this way though, I would like to go this way and see if there's anything here. Climb down or jump down. Use the rope to scale the rocky ledge. Okay, there's like a small encampment. And there are some crates here. Grain.
That wasn't so hard.
And an agate, which is a precious stone. This memorial has been left to weather the elements for many months and has fallen into disrepair. Resting at the top of the memorial in a small weather-beaten enclosure is a small weather-beaten enclosure with a rusted torque inside. Take a better look at it, or take it. Well, let's look at it first. The torque possesses a number of small grooves. It otherwise appears fairly ordinary. You recognize the corroded bronze torque as a relic of Tearsman folklore. Okay, does it do anything? Battle-worn torque, right for details, +1 vitality. This finery may have once decorated the neck of a soldier or a noble. It's too aged to tell. Okay, +1 vitality is not bad at all. Now I have Kyros' edict here. This scroll contains the words of Kyros' edict you have been commanded to deliver. The scroll contains the words of Kyros' edict. If the Ascension Hall has not been taken by my forces before the morning of the Day of Swords, all in the alley when the edict is passed will perish. Okay, so it's not even targeted on a place. Like, fleeing this place after I read it out is pointless because it's going to kill you anyway. Okay, let's follow the disfavored soldier, because I don't think I can go anywhere from here. Desiccated corpses line the road of victory to Vendrien's well, an example of the fate that awaits those who resist Kyros' will. We should be vigilant and deal with the remaining Oathbreakers in the pass. This seems like a suicide mission. What do the Vendrien Guard hope to accomplish? The Vendrien Guard is the army of the landlocked realm of Apex, the defenders of the central region of the Tears. Named for the House Vendrien, the ruling dynasty of Apex, the Guard has a reputation for being resilient and stubborn as the mountains themselves. Ostensibly beaten by Kyros' armies and forced to surrender in 429, the Vendrien Guard has resurfaced in 431, brazenly defying the Overlord's rule. From what I've learned from the other prisoners, the runners are instructed to escape the valley and drum up support for the Oathbreakers' cause elsewhere in the Tears. Aurora shrugs. I don't know who they think will listen to their pleas. We've smashed every army, fortress, and self-proclaimed ruler these low-born Tearsmen have to offer. Perhaps they think the wild beasts will rally to their side. Beasts? What kind of beasts? I've been traveling for days. How much longer until I reach the Archons? You're almost at your destination. Once we clear the path of the enemy, just head south down the foothills. From there, it should just be a matter of hours to the encampment. Okay, let's carry on. The avalanche has us blocked. I think you would fit through the rubble? Squeeze through the gap, wedge yourself through the rocks and squeeze through as quickly as possible, or move the boulder. Press the weight against the boulder directly in your path until it starts to move. Okay, maybe I can... Cause that's an enemy soldier, right? Yeah, Sun Soldier, this is a Disfavored guy. So maybe I can crush him, like... if I push it with enough force. It's a little unclear whether there's an incline, because I don't think it would work without at least a little bit of an incline. But you know, it's usually I imagine things that require a skill check
for the glory of Kyros
have a greater effect, right? Because that's a reward for passing the skill check. Brute strength will also work.
On it. To battle! Right.
Sun Soldier's Javelin. I'll take those things to sell later. Don't bother with me. Go down the path. Drastus, the soldier clutches his gut and winces. You can see a hint of entrails between his fingers. You're wounded and it's not trivial. He laughs through clenched teeth. This, but a scratch. I've seen twice as worse 10 times over. He doubles over in pain, gagging and shivering. If you let me help... I said I'm fine. The soldier moans and shakes his head. Graven Asher protects. You go and help the others. Graven Asher, the Archon of War, is capable of shielding his soldiers from injury and fatigue. This protective influence exerts itself even from far away, or as he sleeps. If he sleeps, rumors disagree. Few understand how this arcane power works, but all who have faced the Disfavored in battle will attest that Asher's soldiers can survive serious harm and shrug off the fatigue of starvation or long marches in heavy armor. When the Disfavored are wounded, Asher's Aegis, as some refer to the Archon's unique power, appears to help the Disfavored swiftly recuperate and return to battle. Okay, this is actually pretty kick-ass. This is awesome. Like, generally, so far, I definitely lean more in the direction of the Disfavored anyway over the Scarlet Chorus, because of their elite discipline. But this is downright super cool. Like, they are almost undying. You know, this guy is holding on to his own entrails, and he's like, oh, go ahead, you know, Graven Ashe protects me. And he does, apparently, from what you read here. Shrooms will revive when defeated for 120 seconds. Okay, interesting. So those are shrooms that I can use to revive my downed companions for 2 minutes. Several skulls bleached by the sun and picked clean by carrion birds are spiked on a roughly hewn post. It is the only heraldry that the Scarlet Chorus needs.
Try and catch me, worm!
A young Scarlet Fury weaves around the Vendrien Guard attackers, avoiding their weapons with fluid grace. She nods to acknowledge you. The Scarlet Furies are the elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus, distinguished by their graceful attacks and murderous persistence. Better armed and trained than most Chorus conscripts, the Furies are found among the vanguard of battle, their brutal displays of skill inspiring bloodlust in their masses and fear in the enemy. A breathless enemy soldier passes a glance to her countrymen. This one is crazy, too much lead in her water. We should cut our losses and turn back.
Ha! Fatebinder. You're here at last. Care to join me in putting these cowards out of their misery?
She nods to the armed soldiers bearing down on her. Well, I guess we can talk later after we defeat them. It's not the best moment to ask her who she is while she's in the middle of defending herself. Join the battle. Save something for me. For the realm of Apex, charge. The Vendrien Guard level their weapons and advance.
Come at me. I see as the crow flies. I'll tear your skeleton out by your ass. Phew. I can tell you didn't spend the conquest in a diplomat's tent.
The fighter surveys the fresh corpses and nods with satisfaction.
I'm versed, by the way. But there are more important things to take care of than introductions. Those Vendrien Guard we killed didn't come alone.
She just gestures to the skirmish unfolding in the pass below, shaking her head. Why are the Vendrien Guard attacking now?
My guess. The Vendrien Guard are testing our strength in battle, learning how we perform before they organize a real offensive. That or they're really, really desperate to get beyond the mountains and couldn't wait until nightfall.
Not so fast. First explain what you're doing here.
The voices of Nerat told me to intercept you at Edgering Ruins before you busied yourself solving all of the camp's problems. Guess I was too late.
She smirks.
You're due for a meeting with the Archons, but we should handle the small matter of this ambush first.
You fight like a storm. What's your role in the army?
A Scarlet Fury, one of the elite killers of our ignoble gang. You'll see more than a few of us around camp, but don't let that fool you. We're a rare breed. Most of the soldiers in the Scarlet Chorus are little more than farmers and children armed with rusted forks. Makes them easier to control. The voices of Nerat called his best fighters to this siege. There must be something important about Vendrien's well, though don't ask me what. The Archon isn't in the habit of spilling secrets.
Vendrien's Well is the name of a central plateau of the Tears, a mountain-ringed valley of rivers, flat plains and scattered farmland, once ruled by the House Vendrien of the realm of Apex. At the heart of the valley is the mountain spire, and at the base of the massive stone structure is an old citadel built centuries ago and largely left unused until recent times. I'm ready if you are.
Eager. I like that. Before we go, you might search among the remains of our fallen comrades. Wherever they're bound, I doubt they'll miss their boots, much less any rings or any useful iron they might be clutching.
Rings were first introduced by Kyros in the early years of the Northern Conquest. The currency of the divided realms was of questionable value and easily counterfeited, and rings offered the promise of a shared economy simple enough for anyone to understand. Today, they are the standardized currency across all known lands of Terratus. Their commonality and ease of transportation quickly made rings the preferred unit of trade, even in the realms where Kyros' peace is not observed. Now, this is a bit... The question of looting bodies of the fallen is something... It evokes a bit of a sort of ludonarrative dissonance in me. Well, that's not a... Actually, that's the wrong term. A bit of a cognitive dissonance in me, because from a detached perspective of morality, I obviously think it's wrong. You know, first of all, it's majorly disrespectful both to the fallen and to any of their next of kin. And it's also, technically speaking, illegal because inheritance is a thing, you know. Whoever this soldier has for family might actually want or need their possessions. They are not mine to take just because he's dead. You know, the law doesn't work this way, and neither does morality. But within the scope of video games specifically, I think it's just pretty dumb to not pick up things left on corpses, because it's limiting yourself to a ridiculous degree. The developers, they don't question that you would do that, and in fact they often expect you to do that because you pick up quest items and the like. So I will agree with her. I think from a practical standpoint, it's a bit stupid to leave all of those things laying around, especially because I'm the protagonist of the game, and in the end, I am going to accomplish most of the shit that needs accomplishing, so I need all the help I can get in that regard. But from a moral standpoint, obviously I do think it's pretty low to rob the bodies of the fallen, but I guess I see your point. Nice and practical.
No reason to pity the fallen. Before long, we might wish we'd joined them here. But at least we'll enjoy heavy pockets and warm toes. For the voices of Nerat!
Verse furrows her brow and focuses down on the battle to come. Vendrien Guard heavy bronze greaves. Bronze, huh? Now, this is pretty interesting, because, you know, the world of this game, a lesser sigil of reaching grasp, scroll, broken armor. This world is unlike most of, your typical fantasy stories, because it's not quasi-medieval, but instead is quasi-ancient. You know, the aesthetic and even downright to the equipment that they use is sort of at the dawn of the Iron Age. In fact, it may very well be, because she referred to iron, but the Vendrien Guard are using bronze. So maybe sort of one of Kyros's advantages is the fact that his forces know how to smith and refine iron, whereas his enemies still use bronze. That's interesting, and that's something that doesn't happen that often. Most fantasy games you get are all sort of, high Middle Ages or even late Middle Ages with full plate armor and sort of the knight Western European aesthetic. But this is clearly different, and I like it. It's pretty interesting. An empty spike stands waiting to claim its victim.
On it.
The symbol of the Scarlet Chorus is smeared in blood on the tattered cloth tent. No effort has been made to repair the gaping tears. Or tears, rather. Now, this is a bit stupid. This seems pretty cartoony to me. Are you telling me they have blank tents and then purposefully decorate them with blood? Like, you know, that's... I sort of call bullshit on, like, the practicality of it. It seems like a waste of time. You would want your army equipment to sort of come pre-stamped with the correct heraldry, like sewn on it, rather than waste time decorating it yourself with blood, no less. Like, that seems a bit silly to me. Several skulls bleached by the sun and picked clean by carrion birds. I read that already. Weapons and armor are strewn haphazardly around the cart. Every blade shows sign of rust, and every piece of armor is in need of repair. Okay, so rust indicates it has to be iron armor. Now, bronze doesn't rust. So yeah, we do have iron and they do not. I guess that's how it works. Eyes forward, no looking back. The Vendrien Guard warriors roars with his falx held high, his words largely lost over the din of combat. The falx is an enduring symbol of military life in the tiers. Adapted from the agrarian sites of Azure, the curved blade was, in ages past, the weapons of peasants forced into battle. In the last century, the nobles of Apex took a liking to the weapon, and it has since become the weapon of all serious Vendrien Guard warriors, that all serious Vendrien Guard warriors endeavor to master. You. As his attention lands on you, a double take of recognition comes over the man's face. The Peacebinder from the war. If you've come to once again talk peace, it seems you are too late. Now, I've gained favor with the Vendrien Guard, because I guess they recognized me for my mercy during the war. In Conquest Decision, the people of Apex know you as the Peacebinder for your efforts to negotiate a surrender from the Vendrien Guard, saving them a costly conclusion to an inevitable defeat. You've met only a fraction of the Vendrien Guard in person, but nearly all of them watched their captains bow to you. It would seem your reputation precedes you. Drop your weapons, and perhaps we can settle this without bloodshed. We knew that violating the surrender meant the end to what little mercy and goodwill Kyros' forces have or ever will show us. There's no turning back. He shakes his head with a frown. I know you tried to do right by us in the past, but now you're between us and the way out. It's nothing personal. Fatebinder, did I hear that correctly? Maybe you misunderstand why we're here. As he signals his men to charge, the sound of chanting rises from the south, drawing his attention. Scarlet Chorus reinforcements, hurry! Run down those Oathbreakers, let none escape. From the red mob of reinforcements from the south, a blood chanter emerges at the head of the rabble, the ornamental crest of her staff pulsing with crimson tones, signing sigils of magic and wordlessly moving her mouth. The blood chanter scribes a series of spells into the air. A red glow surrounds the Vendrien Guard warriors as the chanter's magic worms its way into their minds, blinding them with rage. Hold position, all of you. You there, keep the path. The warrior gestures along the canyon trail, but his soldiers turn their attention to a Scarlet Chorus roaring challenges. Don't engage them, we need to run. His orders fall on deaf ears. The warriors his orders falling on deaf ears, the warrior reluctantly readies his weapon.
Heads up.
They won't even get close.
Okay, so
I should try something else.
I don't think they auto-attack if I don't manage them. I'm not sure if I take any greater penalty if my companions are knocked down.
On it.
Hey, you won't enjoy this as much as I do.
Come quick, we have a situation on the cliffside. They have the commander. You know what? I will read through the tooltips, but I will do that sort of. I will cut it out in editing because I think that would be pretty boring. But maybe it betrays something that's important. Okay, so she has like stances. Over here, battle stance. Seeking sheath, 10 to accuracy, bows or dual wield, 20 to dodge, adds a bonus to damage. Okay, you can stay with this, a defensive stance for the time being. Okay. Let's continue. Now, to be honest, I will steal their belongings later. Supposedly the captain is in trouble. So let's sort that out first. Stow your weapons or we find out how long a man can scream before hitting the ravine down below. Cornered between a precipitous drop and a band of angry soldiers, the Oathbreaker warrior holds a disfavored officer at knife point. Skewer him. Worry not for me. Graven Asher will protect. The disfavored officer winces, blood seeping from the seams of his braces and cuirass. You heard the man. He plainly invited you to use that little blade of yours. What are you waiting for? Permission from your pimp? This blade? With a jerk of the knife, he slices off a clump of Drastus's matted hair. If you're so eager to see your ally dead, just step closer. Oh, I can use my reputation from the conquest. I'm Stannis. My name should be known to you, and you should, and it should be an honorable one. Please give me the knife. I can rush him as well, but if I can manage to get him to surrender somehow. Although, I don't think at this point, I don't think I could convince my own forces to spare him, because they did break the oath that they've sworn to Kyros not to raise against him. You know, they like, from the perspective of my guys, they are traitors, and I don't think I could persuade them to let him live, even if he surrendered. But let's try it. Give me the knife. You're Tunon's envoy. He watches you closely for a long moment, until his posture slackens, and he lowers the knife. If you vouch for my safety, then I'll... His sentence is halted by a spear thrust into his lung. Leaping forward, the moment Tyrell lowers his blade, the disfavored soldiers slaughter the Oathbreaker. Dazed but alive, Drastus lets out a long sigh and struggles to his feet. I offered this man mercy, and he made a liar out of me. You've gained wrath with the disfavored. Yeah, they didn't like it. But these mongrels require a firm hand. They can't be trusted, and my honor is as dear to me as your sword is to you. Do not forget that a second time. I understand. My apologies, it will not happen again. So apparently, they disliked what I did, but they liked my justification. Like, they disliked for what I said, but they liked my justification for it. That sort of, I'm trying to back it up by referring to my convictions. Kyros be praised. The Oathbreaker fought with the rage of Cairn himself. Drastus slides a trembling hand along the cut of his neck. Thank you, Fatebinder. I thought today was my last. Cairn, the mountainous Archon of Stone, accompanied the Disfavored on the Conqueror of the Tears. His temper and proclivity towards destructive solution often branded him a liability to the otherwise orderly takeover, but his powers were not so easily dismissed. During the Azure campaign, Cairn went on a rampage, declaring himself independent of Kyros and the conquest an unlawful sham. Kyros drafted the Edict of Stone to put an end to the rebellious Archon, and his petrified corpse rests in the ruin of Azure to this day. From the look of it, I guess they thought if they swarmed the pass, maybe one might make it out. We found a few scraps of parchment on the bodies. Drastus holds out a handful of crumpled parchments for your inspection. A student of letters such as yourself should be able to make sense of this. Literacy is rare in the north. Very few of the disfavored soldiers know more than a few written words. Literacy is uncommon in the tiers, but the nobility of the younger realms have taught literacy to the firstborn noble for centuries. Now many of those disenfranchised nobles have fallen in with the uprising, and they rely on written messages, knowing that most of Kyros' forces will be unable to decipher their content. All that training and Graven Asher doesn't teach you to read? That is a pretty good point. Like, the Kyros' empire, and the Disfavored specifically, they, at first glance, look like they have their shit sort of well put together. But if most of them are illiterate, that's actually a glaring sort of flaw in their organization. Like, it's pretty difficult to rely only on the word of mouth in planning a campaign, because even things like keeping lists of supplies or whatever would work much better in writing. The commander stares at you, unamused. Okay, examine the parchment. Repeating the same messages in different written scripts, the parchments explain that the Vendrien guards desire to overthrow Chiron's Archons and rout their armies from the tiers. The pages aren't addressed to any specific reader, but rather openly invites all who remain loyal to the younger realms to gather at Vendrien's Well. The realms of Azure, Apex, Stalwart and Haven are collectively known as the Younger Realms, and together they represent the major political factions of the tiers. For centuries, the Younger Realms have battled among themselves for the control of the tiers, with every realm having been at war with the other at some point in their memorable history. The lack of unified resistance allowed Kyros' armies to quickly conquer the tiers. Recruitment material, they were trying to bring more traitors to the fight. Well, from the look of it, we kept them from slipping out of the valley. Whatever they hoped to accomplish, I think their plan died here. The Archons are expecting you. When you're ready, leave by the gate to the southeast and follow the trail down slope for a few hours. You'll see the campfires leagues away. You can't miss it. Yes, but what I can do is rob everyone's bodies. Honor Guards, Bronze Folks. Quick Finger Bangles. +1 to Quickness. Can I equip that with the other thing? The better question is, where is it? Oh, I guess it's in my party stash. That's shared. Do I have 2 slots for those? I do. Although, maybe that would be more beneficial for her. She seems to rely a lot on dexterity. Let's try her out with a bow. She seems a bit squishy, maybe. Like, how do I?
Me again and.
Because she has a bow as well. Let's try that.
A limb.
Let's try that out. Battle stance. Plus 10 to accuracy.
I see you there.
Good with bows. Let's test it out. Anything to add? My wounds are closing. Fatebinder, Aurora salutes you as you approach. We are honored by your presence. Need something? What's the situation here in Vendrien's Well? The Oathbreakers hold the citadel at the heart of the valley, the one built around the base of the spire. Aurora points east towards the tower in the distance. The Matani River has been our largest headache during the siege. It's unsafe for armored troops to ford, save at key locations, and the enemy knows this as well as we do. I know that we would be a lot farther along if the Scarlet Chorus used its alleged strength in numbers to ford the river themselves and overwhelm the enemy. Aurora looks at Verse with a disapproving air. As it is, we must take the valley slowly and advance the Disfavored bulwark, since that's where the real work gets done. Because all it takes is numbers to cross the river under a hail of arrows. If the Disfavored were quicker to act, maybe the Vendrien Guard wouldn't be so trained up to face us. If either of you was correct, the campaign would be over and I wouldn't be here. A fair point. The Legion is eager to gain some perspective on our quarrels. Consequently, I retract my previous remark. Really? Because I don't. Next time you say something, try to mean it. How long have you been with the Disfavored? 7 years. She pauses to count on her fingers. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a bit, that's a bit, what's the word? Embarrassing? Humiliating? Like, you're this elite legion who prides yourself on how awesome you are, but you can't even read or count properly? Like, that's a bit sad. 2 seasons, perhaps a handful of days. I trained at Fort Resolution a bit before the conquest. Compared to the commanders you find around the camp or stationed at Iron Hearth, this makes me one of the young bloods. This has been a long and grueling campaign, but the end is in sight. We'll soon have the Oathbreakers back under control. Then we can rest, retrain, and even cycle out troops so we can see our families again. What can you tell me of the Vendrien Guard? They are the last gasp of the younger realms. Among them are warriors that escaped the Bastard City siege, a few refugees from the other victories, and a bunch of Vendrien locals with delusions of independence. These southern wastrels cannot match our iron, nor the Chorus's numbers. What on Teratus gave them the nerve to rise up and ask for a second helping of battle is anyone's guess. Yes, so iron is our Wunderwaffe. I guess. She very clearly referred to it as such. Seen anything interesting during the war? I once saw a forge-bound artisan set himself on fire. Occupational hazard. That was an unpleasant day, the first of many, to be honest. The forge-bound are mage-smiths sworn to Kyros' service through their operation in the though their operations in the tiers are overseen by Tunon and his court of Fatebinders. Each forge-bound uses magic as a tool to augment their personal craft, most commonly smelting and metalworking, but carpenters, tailors, and tanners are found in the ranks as well, and each mage strives to create that which is impossible with mundane hands. Most notably, the Forgebounds are the sole masters of ironworking in the known world. Using spells of fire resistance to wade into forge fires, the Forgebound can work iron at temperatures that no other forge can match, and with a hands-on touch that no mundane smith can hope to achieve. Because of this vital skill, the Forgebound are considered a strategic war asset, their lives regimented and controlled, so that the forge may churn out iron arms and armor without delay, debate, or distraction. Okay, so literally in this world, iron smithing is a form of magic. Like, that's again pretty cool, because that's something that's pretty far removed from your typical fantasy game that is full of references to, like, you know, as I said, the Middle Ages and specifically the Western European Middle Ages, with the sort of this aesthetic of knighthood, whereas here this is literally sort of a world that's on a cusp of the Iron Age, but still at a point where, like, a specific culture, or I guess, you know, at this point it's most of the world, but originally I imagine it was just Kyros, that they know the magic, quote-unquote, of working with iron, compared to everyone else who's still using bronze, and presumably copper as well. Because, you know, the problem with bronze is, like, getting thin, and generally, like, iron is actually brittler than... Brittler? Is brittler a word? More brittle than, at least, you know, the early iron, that when they didn't really quite know what to do with it, is more brittle than bronze. But bronze is you know, it requires different resources because it's an alloy. And I just think it's pretty interesting that in this world, Kyros has, you know, those smith magicians who work iron and are seen as mystic because of that. I've heard about the edict you proclaimed at the burning library, but thankfully I wasn't there. One fire was enough for me. Previously known as the Vellum Citadel, the archive of the ancestral home of the sages is now the site of a volcanic crater. Eruptions of lava began during the conquest of the Tears after Kyros' forces failed to claim the library in the Overlord's name. Kyros cast the Edict of Fire to break the siege and rid the world of the forbidden knowledge stored there. The citadel has been a smoldering ruin ever since. Okay, let's carry on. She taps her gauntlet to her breastplate in a salute. Have a pleasant siege, Fatebinder. Pleasant siege. Huh? That's an interesting turn of a phrase you don't hear every day. What's here? You see a very old, broken section of the wall. There is rope hanging down that has recently been used to scale it. The rope appears to be secured strongly enough to hold your weight.
Found something.
What is it? Potion of invisibility. Okay. Might be pretty useful in the right circumstances.
I got it. Sorry, I can't.
The torn banner bears the scratched out icon of the Disfavored. The army's original symbol has been lost to history, and Graven Asher has never ordered a replacement, preferring the blasted icon over all others. Kyros has ordered the original icon of the Disfavored erased from memory for over 100 years. Admiring the Disfavored sigil? I know a thing or two about that. For over 100 years, the Disfavored have kept their scratched out iconography, wearing it with pride. Okay, so they've clearly done something wrong. You know, it's in the name. they are called the Disfavored. Oh, and Tarkis Demos is the enemy commander. I wonder if I can somehow spare him from execution. I will talk with them in a moment. Fatebinder, what an honor to have one of Tunon's court visit our humble holdfast. Need supplies? Bursting with energy, the merchant slams her palm down on the top of the crate. If so, we have come to the right place. So, what shall it be today? She spreads out a welcoming arm over her wares. I trust you've been granted proper stewardship of the goods you're peddling. Well, you see, Fatebinder, the merchant cranes her head to the side, scratching her neck. I think so. I've been handed these bits of scripts. She reaches in the sack and snatches a scroll case, but I'm not a woman of letters. Numbers are my strength, as you can well imagine. Well, let me see those. Certainly, good Fatebinder. She hands you the scrolls while wearing a quizzical expression. A cursory read indicates that this merchant is granted the unlimited right to trade in logistical capacity. While not supporting an active battle, she has the right to trade grain, copper and olives anywhere in the tiers. Wait, so she has been granted permission to trade groceries, but she doesn't even know that because she can't read? Like, I don't think I'm going to, like, rat her out or whatever, or give her legal trouble. Like, I imagine, you know, large portion of it is war plunder, but at a certain point, you know, far back enough in the history, you have to admit that that's how war was waged, and everyone did it. Like, no one saw it as wrong if you took the possessions of your beaten enemy, because, you know, even in modern history, what's the English word for that? Like, not reparations, but not contribution. Like, what's the English word for when you've lost a war and you have to pay for it because you've lost? So that's just a more codified way of just taking the plunder outright. Where did you get these? Harhand Bronze acquired these on my behalf from Archon Tunon's agents, I believe. Her expression shows a deep concern. Well, I will talk to her about it, because it might be interesting. I don't think I'm going to necessarily get her in legal trouble. It seems like a minor, weird kind of thing. Like, it's even weird that one requires a specific sort of license to trade, and that it's limited to specific objects. Looks like we have a slight problem here. A problem? But how can that be? I paid a span's profit for the stewardship. What sort of problem is there? Wait. You have a right to trade as part of active war efforts? But what are those if not active war efforts? Like, they are attacking us and we are attacking them. What's inactive about this? You have the right to trade as a part of active war efforts. Currently, it would seem our armies are unable or unwilling to fight. See the problem? Oh, I see the problem. Her eyes narrow and her hand slides toward the string of coppers around her waist. Let's skip some of the steps in distance, shall we? She holds up a hand with a string of copper rings dangling from her fingers. A donation to the court. Call it a proper fine. Call it tribute to our protection. Just call off your game. if you say yes. I don't need the bribe that much. Like, I don't really care. This seems like such an arcane, sort of small grade bullshit, administrative, convoluted sort of thing. I don't really care. It doesn't, my morality sense is not tingling in any way when I talk about this particular situation. So you can keep your coins. Just give me the friends rate. So be it. A smile creeps across her face. We'll trade as friends, and I'll not warn the other merchants of your flippant justice. Well, how is trade? Well, this is a service posting. No profit up here in the pass. That's Harhand Bronze's orders, but when we march out into the valley, I'm back on my own schedule, and there's hoping this year is a good one. The Overlord forbids the extortion on the pathways. Good thing too, cause in the years past, I would lose most of my profits to tolls. Couldn't turn a copper if I tried to hold the long distance. Well, let's see what you have. Yeah, bronze weapons, blah blah blah. Staff of Atrophy. Camping supplies. Yeah, I don't really care about any of those. Like, do I want to sell this spear? Like, I myself won't use it. Where's the rest of my items though? Like, how do I switch categories? But, why can't I access things that are in the party stash from here? Like, you know what? I'll just keep it for now. Like, I won't bother with this for the time being. It is an insult that we must share the battlefield with the rabble of the Scarlet Chorus. Kyros be praised. Fatebinder, a pleasure to have you join us. You never really know if one of Tunon's officers is battle ready until the fighting breaks out. She nods with approval. You clearly can hold your own in a fight. A broad-shouldered, disfavored soldier snaps to salute, and thanks Kyros for that. There has been too much talk as of late and not enough action. The Archon of War is planning his next move. Would you have him hasten his plans for your impatience? The superior officer glowers through the gap in her helm. Never, ma'am. Graven Ashe protects. She holds her salute with a tightly clenched fist. I'm just eager to see the Vendrien Guard buried under their own patched defenses. Need something? Why hasn't the siege been resolved? It's because the Scarlet Chorus scoff at the Great General plans, and they aren't carrying their weight. They should be using their great numbers to patrol and harass the enemy. If you ask me, I think they are intentionally going easy on the Oathbreakers. She grins her fist into her palm. Even if they listened to us, and are they even capable of following orders? The Scarlet Chorus doesn't have a chain of command, just a rabble of gang bosses cutting each other's throats for advancement. Pissing on the Disfavored is like a badge of honor, if you don't mind me saying so. Oh, tell me about the Disfavored. We are the proud elite of Kyros' military strength, selected from the finest northern stock and hammered against the anvil of war. If you want to put that into perspective, the Disfavored are a sword forged with care, then polished and sharpened to perfection. She clears her throat. The scarlet colors are more like a rusty pitchfork dredged out of a swamp, effective in large numbers, but easily outclassed. Graven Asher protects indeed. What have you survived? In my early days, I broke from my phalanx and ran at the enemy, received a spear in my guts for my efforts. It took the better part of the afternoon for the Archon's protection to patch me up. Learned a valuable lesson too. When I was at Azure, I caught a hammer blow to the side of the head. All I remember was a ringing sound and a feeling of my skull shatter from jawline to ear to the top. I woke up hours later. The medic says there's a piece of my helmet lodged in my brain. She draws herself up. My badge, my reminder. I definitely, so far, I definitely think the Disfavored are much cooler than the Scarlet Chorus, if anything. We owe that to the great general. He gives us strength to fight where others would flee, and to stand where others would fall. What a pile of dung. They are right about one thing. The Disfavored have taken too many blows to the head. She scoffs and crosses her arms. You don't believe in Ash's protection? I believe in it all right, but I don't buy he's doing anyone a favor. In war, death is a lesson. Survival is its own reward. If Asher protects his soldiers, the weakest of them occupy a space in the phalanx that could be put to better use. No? Like, what? Obviously the Scarlet Chorus is more about sort of this very crudely understood social Darwinism where, you know, oh, you have to be strong and like advance through the ranks by ruthlessness. I think not only are the Disfavored super cool to be able to survive all of those injuries, but obviously, as it says here, each fight that they survive, even if they take wounds, is an experience under their belt that helps them grow as soldiers and maybe even as people. Whereas if you die, you're dead. There's no improvement to be made from dying. Graven Asher gives his soldiers a chance to improve, which is more than the Voices of Nerat allows. Off to the early start adjudicating the problems between our camps, are we? The Voices of Nerat doesn't give his soldiers anything but a purpose. He barely even feeds us. We take everything we want, including our advancement. Well, let's leave. Kyros be praised. Hail Kyros and glory to the Voices of Nerat. The Scarlet Chorus soldiers nods at you, her brow furrowed in concentration. I take it you're the gopher everyone's talking about. Are you getting the lay of the ruins or just avoiding the Archons? We picked the area clean months ago. All that is left are some old stones, and that prize off in the distance. She nods to the towering spire above the citadel. What do you want? Tell me about these ruins. The place used to be an actual fort. When Cairn came true, the Archon of Stone pulled down most of the masonry with him. She spits an impressive glob of phlegm. Not sure if it was intentional, but he left that old statue in one piece. It's carved in the likeness of Queen Lysarius. She scratches the back of her head, smirking. Strangest thing, the statue started crying blood around the time of the war. I like to think we clobbered the Vendrien guards so badly that their ancestors could feel it. What do you know about the spire? I know how to tell time by its shadow, and that it hurts my neck if I stare up at it for too long. Really, it's no different from the spires in the north. Big, ugly, and inaccessible. It's strange that the Vendrien people built their citadel around it, but there's no accounting for taste. Farewell. Be seeing you, Fatebinder. The side of her mouth jerks in a grin. Well, before I talk to them, about this guy's fate. Okay, I'm speaking to you now through the magic of editing, because I noticed that this episode is like way too long, so I have to chop it up in editing so that it's more manageable. So I'm going to cut it here. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!